Hey y'all, it's Farmer Meemaw, and I have missed you so much. I'm sorry, I just kind of stopped posting videos. So just we've been going through a lot, and I'm trading water, y'all. I'm just trading water. Um, if as y'all know, I'm gonna give you an update of everything that's been going on. So as you know, my dad has dementia, probably Alzheimer's dementia. You know, you can't really officially diagnose with Alzheimer's until after you do an autopsy, and we're not going there. So, um, he's got Alzheimer's, and he's just gotten, progressively as they do, he declines, and um, he was in the last couple of weeks. He has been requiring more. Well, actually, for the last month, he's been requiring more and more care, and he got to the point where my sisters and I um, couldn't, and his caregiver couldn't continue to provide the level of care that he needed. And so we made the really difficult decision of putting him in a long-term care facility, which is extremely close to my house, and so I can be there at a moment's notice. Um, and there are three of us girls, daughters, sisters, that we are like the helicopter moms. We're the helicopter daughters, and it's just getting used to seeing your dad in a way that you never in your life planned on seeing him is really hard. Um, and so there's that has been going on, which just keeps me tied up in just emotion and stress. And if you've ever had to place a parent or someone that you know or love, or even a grandparent, in a long-term care facility, which is a euphemism for a nursing home, you know the emotions that go along with that. Um, and so there's that. And then I just got back from a trip to Texas to help my daughter-in-law move back home. Hey, my son and his wife were in the middle of selling a house and buying a house and moving from Texas back to Arkansas. And so that whole process, he had to come to Arkansas first, and she had to stay there until their house sold, and he found a house in Arkansas. And so anyway, this past weekend I got to drive to Texas and help her bring the rest of their stuff home and move home to Arkansas. And so that was really exciting and a good thing, but it was very exhausting, you guys. Like, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how hard it was physically on my body. Not only was I, like, they had no furniture. Like, she'd been living basically with a place to sleep and a few things in their kitchen, and that was it, because the house had been emptied to sell and for them to move and all that. And so literally, if you weren't sitting on the floor, you were standing. And so I was on my feet a lot, and my tendonitis was acting up. I'd had a 9-hour drive up there, so my legs were swollen anyway, because I'm old and fat. And then I ate carbs the whole time I was there. Like not just not healthy carbs. I mean, junk carbs. I was just like, oh, this is a vacation. Huh. Vacation from health, apparently. And so I was eating like chocolate covered, peanut butter filled pretzels and fried fish. That had broccoli with my fried fish, and fries and hush puppy, and there was another side. What's the other side? There was another side. I don't remember what I had. Black-eyed peas was the other side. Anyway, I ate those in honor of my daddy, because the last time I visited him, I fed him black-eyed peas. That's what they were having that day. So anyway, and so just that whole thing, and moving, and then loading cars and unloading cars, and oh my word, I was exhausted. And before I went, I had a little bit of excitement. My 19-year-old son comes into the house and said, "Is that a real snake in the quail coop? Because we keep a fake snake we have a fence that we try to discourage our chickens and ducks from getting close to and finding a way out of the yard." And so we have a fake snake hanging on the gate at the opening in our yard. And so my son is like, "Is that a real snake in the quail coop?" Y'all, it was a real snake. It was a rat snake, and it already had one of my quail in its belly. And so then I had to call animal control. I mean, I'm shaking, y'all. And we're like, we have the what do you call it, hardware cloth that we've made the cage out of. There were a few places where there were openings or gaps where that snake got in. That's how the snake got in. But anyway, so the openings in that hardware cloth are like 1/2-inch squares, and so we're picking up little sticks and we're like poking at this snake trying to get it to stay away from my quail. And my quail are just like, I don't know, they don't even act scared. But now I'm thinking I might know why I had 19 and now I'm down to 10. Like, I had 19 months ago, and I would ask my son, "Where are my quail going? Are they getting out?" And he had no clue. Now I think I've got a clue as why my quail were kind of disappearing. I was honestly blaming my son for letting them like escape when he was feeding them, but that may not be the case. I don't know. Anyway, so I freaked out. Call animal control. I'm like, I need help getting a snake out of my quail coop. And they were like, "Well, first, I don't know how long." She was like, "How long has it been there?" I was like, "I don't know. Like, I came out here and it was here." I said, "Long enough to eat one of my quail." And she was like, "Well, I don't know how long it's going to take because only one person has the equipment." Okay, it's a non-venomous snake. It's like, I thought it was a king snake. It was a rat snake in a quail coop. Somebody working for animal control should be able to handle a snake without equipment. It's not poisonous anyway. Even if they didn't know that, y'all, they should be able to figure these things out anyway. But they were like, "We don't know how long it'll take, and it'll be like $125 for them to come do that." And I'm just like, "What? Like $125 to remove a venomous snake from a quail coop?" And so I'm like, "Well, never mind, because I could buy more quail for that. I could buy a lot more quail for that. Them quail ain't worth that to me anyway." Plus, I had some in the incubator. That's another story. Anyway, and so my son and I, we were like getting little sticks and poking through the thing trying to deter him. And then I got like under the tarp and opened one of the back door where my quail were not. My quail were in the front. I opened the back door and poked the snake towards that direction. And my son like stood far away and used a stick to raise the tarp up so the snake could see the opening. And the snake slithered away. I kept an eye on the snake while my son went and got a shovel, and I was just like, okay, well, we were both wearing flip-flops, and so I'm like, I'm gonna go put on boots first, y'all. And I mean, I'm like shaking. Anyway, I don't think I've ever killed a snake on my own. If I have, I've blocked it out of my memory. Anyway, and so he goes and gets the shovel, and then comes back, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in and get boots. So keep it on it while I go get my boots on. He has the shovel, but he's wearing flip-flops. I run inside and I get my boots on, and while I'm getting my boots on, apparently it slithered away. I come out, it's gone. He doesn't know where it went. So the snake is still out there somewhere. Well, it was. And so that was last week. I go on my trip. Before I leave on my trip, I come back and we secure my little tractor right here. Well, I've got, that's my Baby Blue, my tractor that I named Baby Blue. And then this tractor is my chicken tractor. And right now, my baby chicks are in it. And so I'm wondering now if that snake had gotten into my house, because we found a hole onto my back porch and my husband sealed it. But I'm wondering if it was that same snake, because rat snakes are also called chicken snakes, apparently. I thought it was a king snake whenever we were getting it out of my quail coop, but my son, who wants to be a herpetologist and has a pet snake and loves snakes, he's crazy. He told me that it would not be a king snake because king snakes stay on the ground. If it's climbing up somewhere, it's a rat snake. And rat snakes are also called chicken snakes. So anyway, so he said that would have been a rat snake in my quail coop. So then I come home from this trip, and well, back to before we left, there was like some gaps in the bottom. This is where I keep my baby chicks. And see, we had baby chicks, kept them on the back porch. Go to check on my baby chicks at one point, and I had 10, and there were only 2 inside the brooder, and then I found another one alive outside on the back porch, and then all of like the other 7 of my baby chicks that I had to beg and plead my husband for if I paid for them. So I paid for them, and I didn't get any straight run. I only got hens because I have this habit of getting straight runs because they're a better deal, and then end up with like 8 out of 10 roosters, and it's a nightmare. And so I only got pullets. And 7 of my pullets were eaten by something. I don't know. And so I was crushed, and I was like, I finally just got pullets. And so my husband was like, you can get more and I'll pay. So he paid for me we went to Tractor Supply, and they still had pullets, and I got 10 more. So now I have 13 pullets, good Lord willing, and they're actually pullets because I don't even want to go there. And Tractor Supply is clueless. They don't know what they got. They'll mix pullets in with straight runs, and then they don't know which breed is which, y'all. And so I may have 3 roosters in there that I was told were the pullets. So we'll just have to wait and see. My husband, we're like Googling to find out, what they're supposed to look like to figure out, because the Tractor Supply employee had no clue. Anyway, so we keep them out here, but we bring them in at night just to keep them safe. Well, we waited until like dark. It was like it had just gotten dark. And my husband comes out here with my son to get the quail get the baby chicks out of the coop. And there was a rat snake climbing up the side of the coop. Like on its way in the corner, like all of the baby quail were like all huddled together and like sleeping in the front corner, like right like on that corner right there, and that snake was right there. Whoops, I'm like slithering up that side. And so my husband goes and gets some loppers and halfway kills it, and then finishes it off. And I know rat snakes are not poisonous. Some people like rat snakes because they control the rats and all that good stuff. Well, apparently it had already gotten all the rats and is now going after quail, baby chicks, and maybe the baby chicks inside my house. And so that sucker had to go. And so we had all this snake activity. So now I've got 13 baby chicks. And right before in the middle of the month, in July, I decided I'm going to hatch some more quail because my quail are getting low and I need more quail eggs. And, I'm wanting to have my own food source, and they're ready to eat in 8 weeks. And so you don't have to wait as long for the turnaround of when they're ready to eat. And then I was going to race them, and I'm going to have them, I'm going to be canning them and all that good stuff. Did you know that you can eat quail bones? Cooked quail bones, and I don't even think you have to can them in order for the bones to be edible. They say if you like a little crunch. But anyway, so I'm going to be canning my quail once I get enough to can, and so I've got to start hatching them. So I put some down to hatch. Well, they were supposed to be, I didn't think about it, and they were supposed to start hatching over the weekend that I'm in Texas. And so I had to get everything ready before I went, which made me late to get to Texas because I was like trying to get everything done that morning because, ADHD, and I had to wait until it was immediate. It had to be done before I could get the motivation to do it. So anyway, Saturday morning when I should have been leaving, I was like driving to Tractor Supply and looking for feeders and waterers and all that stuff, and getting my brooder set up for the quail. And so anyway, that morning though, I get up and I'm putting them on lockdown on Saturday morning before I leave. Well, I go in there to put them on lockdown, and there's 2 baby chicks in there already that have hatched. So I got all of that, everything, got them put on lockdown, and got all that like taken care of. And went, and by the time, well, as of right now, we have had 22 hatch, I think, total. And we have 20 that are alive. 2 of them didn't make it. And the last 2 to hatch, I think they're pretty weak. I had to help. I don't know if those were the ones that I helped to hatch. But 2 of them have kind of like bum feet. And so they're still active. And so I'm just keeping an eye on them. And they're staying in the incubator a little while longer. But my hatch rate this time has been better than it's ever been in the past. It's not great, but it's better than it has been. And I did a completely dry hatch, and I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. Like, I didn't add any water to my incubator at all, not even during lockdown. The humidity stayed at about 49% throughout the entire thing. That's how humid it is in my house, y'all. But so the humidity was high, or high enough. It was 45% from beginning to end. I didn't add water. I didn't increase humidity or anything like that. And I got, I think, like about a 63 so far, about a 63% hatch rate. And that is, and I'm going to give them a couple more days because I kept adding in. Like, I would go gather eggs, and when I'd gather eggs, I'd add them back, add those to the incubator, and then I'd wait a few days. Not wait a few days. What am I saying? Like, for a couple of days. I started the saved eggs. I put them in the incubator, and then that afternoon I went and gathered eggs again, and I put those in the incubator, and then the next day I gathered eggs again, and I put those in the incubator. And so I may still have some that will hatch. Who knows? I'm going to give it a couple more days, just to be sure, because I mean, those hatched on day 15 or 16, and I've had them hatch as late as like day 20 to 21, and I noticed with the dry hatch, like, there is not this stink. Like, I don't know if they like rot whenever their humidity is higher, but these, there was no smell in my room because I keep them in my bedroom. And like I said, so far I have 20 baby chicks, and we'll see. And so that means probably about 10 male, 10 female. So I will cull 8 of the male. And as soon as these get out of the incubator, I'm going to just start saving eggs for a few more days. And then I'll run the incubator again to get my stock built up. So anyway, so that's what's been going on. We've got baby quail, baby chicks, no more snakes. Oh, and my daughter-in-law, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to be a Meemaw again. And in like October, November, in that time space. And so got to move her back home. And then my dad went into a nursing home, and just dealing with that. And nursing home food, you guys, like, food is consistently my hyper focus, whether it, with my dad when he was starting to have troubles eating, and I was obsessed with handheld foods like chicken pot pie, hand pies. Like, hand pies were like, I was making hand pies all the time. And then, it's like dementia, all of the foods and nutrients that you need to prevent or reduce your risk of dementia. And so food is there's always some kind of weight loss, whatever, arthritis, anti-inflammatory. I'm always focused on lowering your blood pressure, always focused on foods. And my most recent hyper focus has been nursing home food and the poor quality of it. And, it's like hospital food. And I shouldn't say poor quality, but inappropriateness, at least for some people. Like, you know, they were giving my daddy a pork chop and he didn't have his teeth in his mouth. Um, or, and I was telling him, I was like, and I had trouble getting his teeth in his mouth, but we finally got him in because I had to wet him. I learned you got to dip them and make them wet because they were sticking to his mouth. And he was gagging, you know, and so I wet him and got him in his mouth. But they brought him special food to eat without his teeth. But only because I was there. Had I not been there, what would they have, would they have even fed him? Would they have even made sure that he ate? I mean, and so I've become hyper focused on foods for people in nursing homes, whether it's, you know, making sure that they have the like, for example, he has tremors. And so he needs, like, there are certain foods that he's not going to be able to eat unless someone spoon feeds him the whole time. Like, if you give him peas or anything that has to be on a spoon, or soup or anything that's going to fall off of a spoon, like if you give him thick oatmeal or potatoes, that's fine. But if you're giving him peas or, I mean, even carrots, I mean, you know, he can eat with a fork some, or he could, I don't know now. It got to the point where he wasn't really using utensils. Y'all, I'm itching because there are ants everywhere. But I had to get outside for a while because I have not been here. I haven't been outside in so long because it's just been too stinking hot. Oh, and garden update. I'm actually getting some tomatoes now that aren't completely dehydrated before they turn red. It's just hard to stay up on watering with all the other stuff going on, y'all. I fail at gardening every year. It's like there's always next year, and at this point, this world's so crazy. I don't know if we're gonna make it to next year, but I'm gonna try if we do. But I have tomatoes, but now I have, you know, are there cutter bugs or grasshoppers or whatever, locusts? I don't know. Like, one of my tomato plants had a tomato on it and everything. One big limb of it was just like, it looked kind of dead, and I lifted it and it's like it's been cut. And then I found one of my watermelon shoots, like about yay long. It had a little watermelon on it. It had been cut. So I don't know if I'm gonna get anything, y'all. And the drought, my poor little purple hull peas, the ones that didn't die completely, are just now starting to look like they're going to be okay. But, you know, if we don't get a lot of rain, it's not going to, you know, everything is just like, oh my gosh, everything has just been crazy, y'all. So I came outside originally to just sit down and write down my list of to-dos, things that now that I'm like, I've got my daughter-in-law home, I've got my quails hatching, I have my baby chicks. Now I've got to rebuild like a coop or coops. Like, I have 2 quail coops right now, and they have grown quail, and I think probably what I'm going to do is cull off or combine them and then use, like, I have one that I was intending to be like an outdoor brooder because the way it's built, it's on the ground, it's real nice, real sturdy. But I don't know if I'm going to keep those 2 separate or what. Or build a new one, you know, because I probably am going to, if I want to keep them growing and rotating so that I can have them to can, I probably need to build another hutch or tractor or something for them. And so that'll be something on the agenda in the next week or so, because, you know, within a week, those babies, they grow so fast. You really, like, it's not long until they're ready to move out. So I probably need to get that going soon. And use some of the scraps that I have around here or that I can get for cheap or free. Look at this. This is the ant situation, y'all. Do you see this? The ants have invaded my coffee. Do you see that? And they're on the, like, and they don't normally do that because my coffee is fake sugar. It's not real sugar. But it has fat. It has real fat for my heavy cream. But anyway. So, all of the weight that I'd lost here recently whenever I went gung-ho keto, it's pretty much all back now after that trip. I came back incredibly inflamed, and so I'm back down. I'm back onto keto, and trying to get all the inflammation gone, and hopefully being more active now that like today is a little bit cooler. It's still hot, y'all. I thought I was gonna come out here and enjoy the cool shade, and no, I was like the humidity. It's right now it's better, but when I first came out here, I was soaking wet with sweat, y'all, because it was hot and humid out here. Um, but anyway, I've got a lot to do. The yard is a mess. I need to cut down a lot of overgrowth just to minimize the chance of, oh, it must be 12 o'clock on Wednesday because our sirens are going off. I just need to minimize my risk of snakes and increase the amount of land I have for gardens, and I'm wanting to put down a bunch of cardboard instead of tilling, because tilling is just leading to weeds, and I'm just being overtaken by weeds. And so I may till one more time, but then cover it all up with cardboard until next year. So anyway, I think that is pretty much everything that is going on or has been going on lately. And yeah, I've missed you guys like crazy, and I feel bad about not talking to you more, but things are just, I'm just like I said before, I'm just treading water, trying to keep my head above water so I don't drown. And we've been fighting fleas. I think we finally got that on top of it, y'all. We shaved our dog, and we bathe her, give her like a flea bath every weekend, and shaved her and keep bathing her and doing everything we can just to like please. Oh my gosh, you guys. The last time we had a flea situation like this is, oh my gosh, years ago, like almost 20 years ago.